in Takoradi. You're welcome to the show, and I know you've seen flyers, flying around. Yeah, flyers flying around, and you know who my guest is. But yes, I'll quickly tell you more about him before we delve into the interview tonight. As usual, it will be an exciting conversation. And tonight, my quote is from Henry Ford, who once said that failure is only the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. My guest tonight has become a bright spot for contemporary students of leadership and politics. His arrival on earth was in the lush green community of Aveyime Bato in the Volta region. His unique smile and an eye for quality was apparent in his formative years, and so there was no surprise when he decided that secondary education had to be the opposite of Premier University at Presbyterian Boys Senior High School, Secondary School, Presec Legon as we always call them. His capacity to lead saw him emerge as vice president for the school's scripture union. Tonight we'll find out if his Quife life was innate or an avenue to express his abilities. Luke's president gave him a real taste of mainline politics, and following the NDC's ninth edge election win of 2008, he emerged MP for North Tong at the age of 28 and was credited for the youth policies in the manifesto of the party, which swung the biggest demographic in the crucial poll. Since then, he became Deputy Minister for Information under the presidency of the late John Atta Mills, may he rest in peace, and then later became Deputy Minister for Education in charge of tertiary education under the John Mahama administration. Today, he's a ranking member of Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee. So with less than 50 months to the 2024 elections, is he impressed with the quality of leadership in the executive and the judiciary? Does the ERU report provide basis for the NDC to re-strategize for the elections? Does he want to become president of this country one day? My guest tonight is Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, and he's on the award-winning personality show Starr Chat, which is live, as I told you, on Star 103.5 FM in Accra, Ultimate FM in Kumasi, and Empire in Takoradi. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's
Nana.
good to see you.
Same here.
Yeah,
Same
I should
here.
be saying Wezo. You know I speak Ebe, right?
I had no idea. I'm so impressed.
My mom is Ebe.
Oh.
Yeah, my mom is
beautiful,
Ebe.
beautiful.
Yeah.
No wonder.
Yeah,
I now see where all the pretty genes comes from.
My mom is so Ebe, so yeah.
Oh.
And at home, I'm called Mawina.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so that's my name at home.
Awesome.
Yeah, Nanaba is so foreign to my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's good to see you.
Same here. Always proud of your exploits.
Thank you. So how's your constituency doing, North Tone?
North Tone is doing very, very well.
I hear you are there every weekend.
Absolutely, absolutely, and sometimes weekdays. Actually, today I did a very interesting program. I had a meeting with 10 of the teachers posted to the remotest parts of my constituency, places like Ayiwata, Deva. So when you arrive in my constituency, some of these communities, you need another 2 hours
to get there.
Driving. You then have to park your car and continue by motorbike. Some of the communities like Dofokoma, you have to cross the river, go by boat. So you see pictures of me often in a boat. Sometimes I forget to take my life jacket. I know it's not good. So I had a good meeting with them to know what their current challenges are, what we can do to support it. Because I want to retain them. I don't want them to, because we have a high attrition rate in rural communities generally. When they are posted, they are trying to get out to the more developed urban areas. So I surprised them with tablets, all 10 of them. And they're really excited this afternoon. So programs like that, I love my constituency. I mean, I always tell people that when I went to contest, because I had done all my schooling out of the constituency, association, Presec, Legon, very far away.
You're very privileged.
Very far away from, I wouldn't say so. Very
I mean, the schools you attended, association.
I mean,
then Presec.
typical average Ghanaian. I will argue.
Oh, I love modest people.
So when I came to contest as the youngest on the ticket, it was very competitive in 2012.
This was during the primaries.
The primaries.
Right.
You had people like Mr. Ele Blue, very accomplished chartered accountant. He was director at the Ministry of Health. You had Mr. Gakwe, who was director at Roads and Highways. You had the incumbent MP, who is popularly referred to as American Man.
Right.
You had a top customs official, Mr. Appler. So 7, Kwame Alovi, the former NAGRAD president. So it was a very competitive race. He's in touch. He's doing well, though he's retired now. So for the delegates and for my constituents to take a risk in the youngest person who was contesting. So I was 28 when I was appointed Deputy Minister for Information.
So you were younger than that when you...
No, I was older. I was 31 at the time. I was 31.
Okay.
Yes. So I put out my vision and I told them that, look, for a long time strongholds have been taken for granted. Once people win the primaries, they think that's all because you have one leg in parliament. You don't need to work that hard. But I am coming with a different approach. I will be there for them 24/7. I'll be very committed. We'll roll out, a raft of innovative, interventions to improve their lot. And they risked, took a really big gamble.
It was a big gamble.
Big gamble.
And decide against the experience.
Exactly.
And older.
Yes,
people.
It was a wide array of stars. Very experienced, very accomplished people, and then they decided that no, let's try youthful ingenuity, fresh ideas. They would have the energy, and he's presented quite an impressive vision. So let's just try, because if you look at the history of the constituency, they've been voting for the aged, very senior citizens, but this time they said, let's go youthful and see how that also pans out. And to the glory of God, election after election, my votes keep going up.
I was coming to that. I was coming to that because it's one thing taking that big risk, that gamble. But it's another thing when they realize that, we don't regret because it wasn't a mistake. We didn't make a mistake. And every election year, your votes go up. So it's a vote of confidence in you.
Absolutely.
You must be very proud of yourself.
Yes, but it also imposes an onerous responsibility, and it's always humbling. So it keeps me going, because you cannot, if you take the record we set in the last election, for example, I got the widest victory margin in the entire country. 90.6% for the presidential candidate. No other constituency retained that kind of margin of victory. So that you must be doing something really well. That means that you have to keep at it. Improve on your output.
Do you think that the people believe so much in you because of your frequent trips to the constituency? It's not just the trips, but your involvement in activities, because you're constantly in the constituency, not merrymaking, but you're involved in projects. Does it pay to be that involved?
It pays. It pays very much, and because of that, I noticed that in the campaign season, some communities even turn me away. That what are you coming to do? What are you coming to say? Your work is already speaking for itself. The nickname the chiefs gave me, Togbe Wogbeji, which means the chief who keeps his word, or Siadeyo, as we say in Akan. So I think that it's not only the frequency, but the ideas, the innovative interventions. So, for example, our rice farmers, they've never had their own combined harvester. Now they have their own combined harvester.
Thanks to you.
Yes. If you take the Bator Catholic Hospital, when I became MP in 2013, will you believe that this hospital that has existed for more than 40 years before I became an MP, they did not have an incubator, not one. Now they have multiple incubators, which I provided. The Cervical Cancer Screening Center did not have a screening machine. I've provided them the most modern cervical cancer screening machine. So Dr. Kofi Efa is always excited. He tells so many people about our interventions there. The maternity block, hitherto, when our mothers send their children to the pediatric session of the hospital, they are forced to just all night be in a chair as their children are being attended to. We didn't have an expanded facility for mothers, so that whilst your children are being catered for, you can also take a rest, or at least have a decent place where you can stretch if you must even breastfeed and all of that. So I did a 50-bed expansion of the children's block. And so interventions like that, I'm sure you heard recently that the longest serving midwife in the constituency, I surprised her with a salon vehicle.
Yes.
And she's not from the constituency, but she accepted when she was very young. She spent all her youth and virtually her working life in the constituency, almost 20 years of working life. And somebody like that you want to motivate so that others will see that, okay, for Northton, if you accept postings there, though it's a rural constituency, the leaders, the MP, they would appreciate your sacrifice and you will be rewarded. And so interventions like that, I think that interventions like that, when I became MP in 2013, electricity coverage was below 40%. Thanks to the government of Professor Mills and President Mahama, we lobbied, and now we have electricity coverage of about 95%.
That's remarkable.
Virtually every community now has electricity.
Okay.
We are expanding potable water as well. And if you look at our educational outcomes, they are all improving. I mean, you take the BEC performance. When I became MP, you notice that we were on a fast decline. By 2012, our BEC performance was just around 24%.
What did you do?
So all the circuit supervisors, I bought them motorbikes. We didn't have an education office, the district office. I rented one for them. The education director had no means of transport, so I got a pickup for her, for her monitoring and her work. Then textbooks, they didn't have textbooks. We provided textbooks for them. It is our policy, that's the MP's office, to make sure that all ICT teachers are provided with laptops. So once you're an ICT teacher in Northton, you earn a laptop. So because it didn't make sense to me that ICT teachers will not have the tools. It's quite common in Ghana, for their work, very, very sadly. And then we did a lot of, TLM's provisions, renovating our classroom blocks. Recently, I did the furniture and shoe bank. So we don't want the phenomenon of children going to school in barefooted, where they are left at the vagaries of all kinds of harsh conditions. So we have created this furniture bank where we're providing furniture for schools that do not have it. So we don't wait for Accra for the center, and then the footwear bank. So all of these interventions, including support for teachers, there are some teachers we have sent abroad just to motivate them, refresher courses, to go and sharpen their skills. And if you now look at the latest outcomes, we are doing an average of 75%. My target is 100% BEC performance. I'm still looking at the numbers, this year's BEC results, the 2022 BEC results. And will you believe that the lowest performing school is 71%? See where we've come from, hovering around, 20% bracket to now, 70-something%. So it tells you that these interventions pay off when you apply yourself, when you you put in the right.
I'm sure you have colleagues in Parliament. You don't have to talk too much about them, but you have colleagues in Parliament. I know a few MPs who really don't track their constituency this much, and it just tells during elections. They pay a high price for it. So I'm glad you are doing this for your MP. Now, I'm not going to say this because you're here, but I think that if we were to rank the top 5 best performing MPs in Ghana, you will easily be in that top 5, and it's not because of what you just said. It's because people see the work you do, because your work is verifiable. So I think well done to you. Congratulations to that.
Thank you.
That's the kind of stuff. But how do you raise the money for these things? Because I don't think it will only come from your common fund.
No, not at all.
It will be meager.
Not at all. Very meager. The common fund really cannot achieve much. I normally use my common fund for scholarships to support tertiary students to complete their programs. Of course, even that you still need to top up. You see, when you become an MP, it's a very important office, and you need to leverage on the office. That's what I do. So I send in proposals to a number of embassies, corporate organizations, and then philanthropists, individuals. There are people who, when they see you, doing what is good, what is edifying, what will bring, general advancement and will improve the lot of the people, they are excited to come on board to support you. So, for example, I wrote a proposal to a Spanish NGO that is aligned to the Catholic Church, and we are building currently the first surgical theater in Tagaji. Now, I'm sure you know the Joapon area. Joapon, yes, when you are going to Ho through the Akuse Dam. That entire enclave, Joapon, all the way to Volu, Podoe, Togome, Fujoku, they don't have a surgical theater. So if, say, you have to carry out a CS operation on a pregnant woman, or there's a snake bite, or some kind of operation that is an emergency, you risk losing the patient because unless you transport the patient across the river to Bato Catholic Hospital in our district capital, or you find a way of getting them to Akosombo or to the whole regional hospital, Travaga. Look at the distance, about 2 hours of additional drive time. Now, with what we are doing with this surgical theater, we are going to have our own local capacity. And I have also written to another NGO in the United States of America, and they said that, look, all you have to do, you can get about $300,000 worth of medical equipment. You just have to bring a contribution of $10,000, and then you have to take care of the shipping and the clearing. And I said, oh, why not? Great, because it's a very good deal. And that's what I did. So it's about reaching out beyond your comfort zone. If you say you depend on your common fund or your salary, you can't achieve much. And you see, there are times that even unsolicited support. Recently, the Lions Club reached out to me that they saw what I'm doing with water provision, 400 villages in the constituency, and they want to come on board. It aligns with their own, priorities for the year, and so they will support me. So things like that. Once you keep at it, and people see that you are, kind-hearted, you have the empathy, you have the leadership skills, you are passionate about what you do, and there's accountability, they all come on board and support you. So those are the kinds of things I'm doing. The biggest project, which is going to blow your mind very soon, I'll invite you to the launch, is going to be a 15,000 ton capacity starch production factory.
Is it from one district?
No, this is my own initiative with a Chinese company. I'm putting together funding from local banks, and we are almost through. Land is secured. We've put the structures in place. Our chiefs have been generous. They've really supported us with very large tracts of land. Economy. Yes, we are going to create about 2,000 jobs. And we will launch that project this year. So by in the next 12 months after the launch, we will be exporting starch from the North Tongue constituency, and we have an off-taker already in China who will be receiving the starch. So it's all about, I think, vision, ideas, passion, wanting to leave a strong legacy.
Do you get tired?
Not at all. You see, it's very fulfilling. It's very fulfilling. Today, for example, when I saw the smiles on the faces of these teachers who had accepted posting to the remotest part of our constituency, and they were not expecting these tablets, you know, and you know the hugs, the smiles.
Yeah.
It's so fulfilling, and it always motivates you to do the next intervention, to do this. So it's not tiring at all. It's really. I mean, you just get all the energy back. And you are inspired to do more. When you see the impact, you know, you see, I mean, for example, anytime I go to the Bator Catholic Hospital and the medical superintendent, Dr. Tuguba, is saying that, look, I mean, this donation you made, this intervention you carried out, it saved this number of lives, you know. It's so heartwarming, and I mean, you can never get tired when you do good and you see the results.
What about the most talked about complaints from MP, that you get inundated with people looking for school fees? You wake up in the morning and they are at your gate. They're looking for school fees. They're looking for money for funerals, for weddings, for engagement, for anything at all, and in between. How do you react to that? Do you experience that as well?
Oh yes, it is real. But my response to that is that try to put in place some mechanisms, and it absorbs, it soaks the pressure from you directly. For example, if you are a constituent of mine and you are in the vulnerable category and you go to the Bator Catholic Hospital, I have a special support scheme for these kinds of patients. So the hospital management knows. And so on the average in a year, we pay about 100 to 150,000 cedis for these cases. So people who have conditions that are not covered under health insurance, or their health insurance has expired, you know, so they see the hospital administrator, Mr. Adelata, or the medical superintendent, Dr. Tuguba, and then they are taken care of. They will be discharged, but it's added to my bills. I have to then look for the money to pay. But at least that helps. So I mean, previously you have a situation where so many patients have been discharged, but they cannot go home. They are waiting 2 months, 3 months, 4 months for some, you know, for some savior to come their way. So that helps. So they don't have to be looking for you, coming to the office, going to your home. You know, that helps. Our scholarship scheme is also very vibrant. It's really working. And all you need to do is go to the office, apply. And we have forms. So it reduces the pressure. It reduces the pressure. So I think that when we roll out these interventions, it does help. So even when they call you, or those who don't know how to go about it, and you direct them, go see this, you know, tax team leader. He is in charge of the medical support scheme. Then, you know, and you see, I noticed that also helps to bring in greater transparency. So people don't meet you and make up stories. You know, if I direct you to the team, go to the team at the Bator Catholic Hospital. If you really have a medical condition, you will go there and they will attend to you.
So you cannot tell fibs.
Exactly.
You can't lie.
Exactly. So these mechanisms that I put in place really help. You know that during the lockdown, for example, we are probably the only constituency that was able to cater for the private school teachers who were not being paid, you know, and had been home. And you can't blame the proprietors, because the schools are closed. There's nothing coming in. They are not generating revenue. But we're able to pay 600 of them, you know, and again, donations from here and there, talking to illustrious sons and daughters of the constituency. So once you roll out the schemes, the support mechanisms, it helps by absorbing the pressure, because things are well planned and they've been rolled out in a very, you know,
do some of your friends
systematic way
fall on you for advice on how to manage situations in their constituency? I mean, they'll be very it will be disastrous for them not to. I mean, if you see a constituency doing so well, you may want to replicate, no? Oh
yes, I mean we and I wouldn't say that it's just a one-way thing. I mean, it would be very arrogant on my part to say that I'm the only one who must be consulted. I also consult others. We always exchange ideas. And this life, if you want to live like an island, you will never succeed. You must be open-minded, and you must be humble enough to engage others and to find out how they are going about it. I mean, for example, the combined harvester I bought it from a colleague who is an importer. You know, if I wasn't opening up, I wouldn't have known that, oh, that's a business he does on the side. You know, so yes, there are those who, you know, always speak to me. I also talk to others. We always exchange ideas. And, you know, terrains are different, priorities are different, and there are some departments that we may not be doing too well, others may be returning some better statistics. It's good to engage them to find out how they are going about it, what are their secrets. So I am never shy or too proud to consult, engage others for more ideas. It makes you a better person. At the end of the day, you will take the credit anyway. Yes, I do get a number of colleagues reaching out, and I also reach out to them.
So at what point did you realize that you wanted to be an MP?
Let me reveal this for the first time. You may call me an accidental MP.
Accidental?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You see, many people in Ghana, because of the construction of our constitution, go to parliament to catch the eye of the president, because our constitution provides that majority of ministers should be appointed from parliament. So, and those are some of the provisions. I'm sure later in the discussion we'll be talking about some of the things that I think should change in our constitution. So many people go to parliament to catch the eye of the president to be appointed ministers. That was not the case with me. I was appointed deputy minister already, you know, and I hadn't honestly thought about going to parliament. So guess what happened? A petition was fired from my constituency by some concerned, you know, political activists who accused Professor Mills at the time of discriminating. That the two appointments from Northton, in their opinion, appointments from Northton, as they put it in their petition to Professor Mills, God bless his soul, was that the two people he had appointed are all from the small village Aveime.
Right.
That is, I as Deputy Minister of Information, and then the Honorable Gideon Kwaku as Deputy Minister for Communications. And they were saying that, look, Northton has 6 traditional areas. They are right. We have Bato, where Aveime falls under. We have Mepe, we have Dofo, we have Fujoku, we have Togoma, and we have Volu. These are the 6 traditional areas. So they were accusing Professor Mills of not spreading the opportunities of victory. That why do you appoint 2 people to these key sectors from this small village? Now, Professor Mills was reading that letter for the first time, and he said, I thought the Okudzetos are Anglo. I said, yes, we come from all over because of our grandfather who had about 16 wives, and so depending on, my father's wife is from Aveime, my grandmother, Uncle Sam Okudzeto, Council of State, his mom is from Adidome, Uncle Dan Okudzeto, the mom is from another place, you know, is it Joje? So depending on, some are from Adan, some are, you know, so we are all over the place. So yes, that petition found its way to local radio, and people were, you know, debating the matter and all of that. So a lot of folks in Northton who didn't even know that I come from there or have any links to the constituency then said, we want to change our MP. We admire this young man. So if they say he's from here and they're angry that 2 of them have been appointed from, let's approach him. So a delegation of youth activists and chiefs approached me. They came to me as Deputy Minister for Information and pleaded with me that they want me to, the next election, they are about to change their MP. And I thought that it was a joke. So I had to commission 3 rounds of research, because you are Deputy Minister for Information, you are seen as the mouthpiece of the government. Everybody knew as Professor Mills' darling boy. If you go and lose, they will say, oh, the government is unpopular, even in the Volta region. So I didn't want to make the wrong choice or have any misstep. So the research confirmed that indeed the people are ready to change their MP. The MP had done a second term and he was quite unpopular. And no wonder when we went into the election, the incumbent MP came 5th. So even if I did not contest, clearly the people had made up their mind that they wanted change. So that is how come I went to contest.
What do you look at
the people had had come to me and had insisted. And it started from a petition that some people wrote. Up to now, I don't even know those people. They just call themselves some concerned association of North Tongue, and they were not happy with how the appointments had gone. And here am I, because of that petition. They meant it probably for
so
evil. They wanted one of us dropped and
so it was never in the works. It was never in your plan.
No. Even when I became deputy minister for information, that was not my ambition. Right. That was not my agenda. Again,
what was your agenda?
Again, you see, I was a vibrant student activist, and I wear that badge with a lot of pride. I was president of the National Union of Ghana Students. During our time, there were a lot of matters we had to address head on, including the attempts to, as it were, impose candidates on us. So the SRC elections between Samia Wuku and Lord Hammer.
I remember that one.
Yes.
It was fierce.
Yes. I intervened and said that, can you imagine that after the first round of elections, suddenly university authorities issue a statement that Lord Hammer should not have contested because they've discovered that he was engaged in some examination malpractice. So Samia Wuku will go unopposed. Even though he was my protege, he doesn't hide it. And Lord Hammer too was my very good friend. We were mates in Presec. I said that no, that is wrong. Whatever evidence you have, give it to the student body. We have the vetting committee. Will assess it. But to then disqualify, we are not, excuse me, primary school or some crèche where you dictate to us. So it happened that year the NUC's president is also a student of the University of Ghana. And there was no way I was going to accept that. So I issued a strongly worded statement, hands off Lagos SRC elections, and caution that any attempt to impose an SRC president will not be countenanced. We will not accept it. But the university tried. They called our bluff and thought that they could push their way through. But anytime they attempted to hold the election, students were so charged, the atmosphere was so tense that we did not allow elections to be conducted by the Electoral Commission. So that year, there was no SRC president. So you may say that it's because of Ms. Samia Wuku never became SRC president at the University of Ghana. I don't think that he will have loved that imposition that the university authorities attempted at the time. So that was our track record. Even before I became SRC president, right from first year, I was press secretary of the SRC. I was also the editor-in-chief of the SRC magazine, the Commonwealth Hall magazine. I love to write. So I was even columnist of the Chronicle newspaper at some point. Yes. Vandal through and through, VMate.
We'll come to that very soon. Let me just note it down.
So there was this very big scandal of the examinations that were being conducted. Students who were not even in the country, had not sat for the examinations, were receiving grade A, high marks. How come that you don't sit for the exams? You are not in the exams hall at all, and yet you get your grades. And so we formed the Concerned Students of Legon. I led it because at the time it was clear to me that the student leaders were in bed with the authorities and they didn't want to take action. It was our actions that led to the vice chancellor losing his job, Professor Sensochi at the time, the pro-vice chancellor, the head of the philosophy department, Professor Champong, and others, had to be sanctioned for what they did. Remember, the vice chancellor's son at the time, KT, who had not written exams, was in that category of those who were not writing exams. They were chilling abroad and yet making their grades. I argued at the time that, look, it will discredit our certificates. Nobody will take degrees from the University of Ghana serious any longer, and it will not augur well for the image of the first university, the premier university of the Republic of Ghana. So it then led to massive reforms. There was a massive shake-up, and it led to the Sir John Daniel visitation panel. So they needed an outsider, an expert, to come in and then reform the system based on that agitation. So that is the kind of history I had, right from first year, student activists standing up, fearless, courageous, and then it led me.
And you gave the university authorities a lot of stake.
Yeah, I mean, and it was for a good cause. It wasn't out of malice or anything. We're not just troublemakers. We were rebels with a cause.
Right.
You know, and
so you do agree that you were
no doubt. You were
a rebel of some sort.
Yes, you know, but with a cause, and so. It led me becoming SRC president, very, popularly elected, becoming NUC's president, pardon me. Now, having become NUC's president and having carried out all of these, protection of students' rights, making sure that the voice of students was heard, the rights of students. It was during our time that they wanted to introduce the in, out, out, in. We fought we fought it. It was during our time that they said that there should be no cooking, for example, on campus. How are students going to survive? We had to fight that. So there are many things that we fought. I remember writing a book called A State of Coma, where I reminded colleagues about the great history of the student movement, that even the independence of Ghana, people forget that it was student leaders, students. The West Africa Students Union. I mean, the likes of Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, the likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe, Jomo Kenyatta, they were students abroad who met at the Manchester Conference in 1945 and said that, look, we are coming to support the locals. People forget that when the 1992 Constitution was written, it was student activists who said that, look, we want a return to multi-party democracy. NUCS was at the Consultative Assembly. We were well represented. People forget that even before the 1992 Constitution, programs like the National Service Scheme is an idea from NUCS, proposed it. Take Get Fund, which has saved education in this current dispensation. It's an idea from NUCS. When government was struggling with VAT, how to introduce the VAT. Interestingly, then candidate Akufo-Addo was not even candidate, just an opposition, activist opposing the introduction of VAT, leading the Preco demonstration. President Rawlings then had to suspend it, and they were wondering how it should be reintroduced. We then said that, look, we are seeing that cost sharing is now becoming cost shifting, and I was in secondary school at the time. I was trustee of the Greater Accra Student Representative Council. So I was an activist even before I got to the university. So
you've always been a problem kid.
No, I wouldn't say a problem kid. I was
with a good cause.
Yeah, I've always been motivated by, I love to read a lot. I people like Nkrumah, Frantz Fanon, Che Guevara really inspired me. I mean, these are great revolutionaries, great minds.
Why you chose the NDC.
Absolutely. Ideologically, I am left.
Right.
I lean towards the left, and so that's why I chose to do politics with the NDC. Even though Nkrumah remains, the most iconic figure.
Is the NDC still very left?
Iconic figure.
Shifted to the middle.
Center of left. Yeah, center. we've become more center left. Okay. So you notice that all of these, resistance, all these agitations, so that the system will be perfected, so that things will improve, so that student rights, because you see, we forget that everything we have earned as students, it was through struggle. We didn't used to have a seat even at the university council. If you look at the history of university education, it was through agitations, fighting for a place, academic board, disciplinary committee. We said that, look, at least students should be represented, so you can also get the perspectives of students. So because of all of this history of activism, when after first degree, we had graduated successfully, I then decided to apply after my national service. Again, I'm glad for this interview because there are lots of myths people put out.
I'll come to that very soon.
People say that I didn't do national service. It's not true. Some people create the impression that I just walked right from the campus into national politics. Again, not true. Because I graduated 2006, the NDC came to power 2009. In between, what was I doing? So I did my national service in Parliament at the research department, and at the time, I decided to go back to school whilst I was doing my national service. So I applied to the School of Communication Studies and the law faculty. We always do these multiple applications, hoping that you may be lucky with one. But I was lucky with both. I did the entrance exams, went for the interviews, and I made it through. My name was on the notice board that I have been admitted. But in our era, we were not emailed the admission letters. You have to report physically, and then you pick up your admission letter. So when I reported at the law faculty for my admission letter, surprisingly, my letter was nowhere to be found.
Did you suspect anything?
So I started getting suspicious. Then the dean said, "Okay, go to the registrar." Right. At the main registrar.
All your protesters in the past was catching up with you.
Apparently they were looking for me. So I go up there to the registrar, and the registrar says, "Yes, we've been looking for you. Right. You have to face a disciplinary committee."
For what?
You led a demonstration against the imposition of an SRC president, and there was some destruction of property. So we've been looking for you. You have to pay for it and all of that. This is the time to get you. You know, it's like, this is so unfair. So if I had not applied to come back to the University of Ghana, how would you then have gotten to me?
The universe gave the university authorities a lot of stars. So it came back. Yeah.
So I had to then face the disciplinary committee with my lawyer at the time, the Honorable Mahama Yariga, young lawyer who was also a student activist, was with me. We faced the disciplinary committee, and they said that, look, you can't enter the university that year. That's 2008. So I took the university to court. The fighting spirit I had, I said, no, this is most unfair. I've always been fighting for others, you know, that their rights should be respected. So I'm not going to take this lying down when I am affected this time. I must also put up a fight. We went to the courts seeking a declaration that the university should be compelled to. I have earned the admission. They should, because this is most unfair. I mean, all of this retrospective punishment and all of that. So it became a big national matter which was being discussed, you know, why this discrimination and all of that. And I'd become quite popular as NUC's president because I did also, you know, comment on a lot of national issues. I recall that we even took a position on ROPAL and at the time. So it brought me into some national prominence. So a lot of newspapers, media outlets, and I must always commend the media. They've been very supportive of my cause and the cause of students generally.
Well, you're
those
a cool
days.
Cat. You're media friendly.
Yes, I try. I value the role of the media. Yeah. And you know, as an activist, the media should be your natural ally. Yeah. So eventually, Professor Mills, that's how come Professor Mills, Uncle Atuahoy and others, those who became my godfathers, heard about me. Who is this guy that the university won't admit? And, you know, and so Professor Mills sent for me. At the time, he became flag bearer. He was 2007. He was seeking to become president in the 2008 elections. So his promise to me was that, look, young man, even if you win your court case, the university still has the right. I have taught there for more than 25 years. They have the right to admit who they want. If they say they don't want to admit you, there's nothing really you can do. And don't worry, let's win this election. I've really taken a liking for you, and I will, you know, grant you your scholarships so that you can. I see you want to become a lawyer. That's my profession too. So don't worry. So that's all I was expecting. That when the NDC wins,
you go to school.
I'll go back to school.
And then all of that fell on your lap.
And then Professor Mills calls me and said, "No, I've changed my mind. I want you to rather be Deputy Minister for Information." So initially, I really hesitated and said, no, I have to go consult with my mom and friends, because this I didn't see this coming, and I knew it was going to be tough, because this country, you know, and it's a general thing across the world where young people are seen as people who don't really have the experience, and you know, and in this country the perception is that these ministerial positions are rewards. People don't really see them as work, you know, where you must really, you know, justify your position and leave a legacy and make an impact. People think that, power, but so it's spoils of war.
Job for the boys.
Job for the boys. And so you, even within the party, you can make a lot of enemies. People who feel that, look, we have been struggling for many years.
You were young.
Yes.
Almost an outsider.
Yeah. You who are just coming. So I asked Professor Mills, are you sure? Will you protect me? Because, if after a few weeks there's a reshuffle, you are out, it dents you, quite permanently. Yeah. But he said, no, I really, admire you. And once, I see that you like to learn, you like to consult. So once you work well with your bosses. So that's how
you got into
I got into, yes, never really thought about it or was lobbying or thinking that, So I believe that God has a strong hand in my upbringing and my trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely. Two things that I want to touch on before we move on to other things. Babies with sharp teeth. Because you are one of them. You are one of them. And then we'll talk about being a vandal. I mean, what is that? Yeah. What is that thing about vandals? That I will come to that. But let's talk about babies with sharp teeth. Was there a deliberate strategy to empanel a group of young people to attack verbally the late President Jerry John Rawlings?
Okay, so let me begin from how this terminology, babies with sharp teeth, got into our political lexicon.
Right.
It started with a speech that the former president and founder of our party, the first John of the Fourth Republic, His Excellency President Jerry John Rawlings, God bless his soul. God bless his soul. We miss him dearly. He rendered that speech at one of our party events. I recall it was in Kumasi because I was in the crowd, and he talked about these babies with sharp teeth who are biting, who are very, very painful teeth. You know how he can really dramatize and all of that. So that's where he ended. He never mentioned names. He never did. He never said that it's A, B, C, D. And remember that Professor Mills had tried this beautiful experiment of bringing a lot of young people on board. The Dr. Moni Boamas, the, Fifi Kwetes, Felix came up with President Mahama later. Ludwig Lodge, Koku Anyidoho, Elvis Friankra. There were a lot of us, a whole host of young techs, as he used to call us. And so there were all kinds of discussions about who the cap fits. At the time, because I was Deputy Minister for Information and I had bosses who were largely reserved. Remember that the first Minister for Information was the Honorable Zita Okaikwe, then the Honorable Fritz Bafo. They did not like the political banter, the debate, go into the morning shows, and they maintain a certain ministerial, and so because of that, I was more active, and remember that the Fonka Games had also started, and for those who may not recall, the Fonka Games was when Her Excellency Nana Okudzeto Ablakwa Rawlings decided to challenge Professor Mills because she had presidential ambitions and wanted to serve in our second term for the 2012 elections. So I had to defend Professor Mills's record. I had to defend Professor Mills's legacy. To be very honest with you, I never use insults. I do not recall ever. And I've been challenging people, can you produce... I wasn't brought up that way. I mean, I was SU vice president right from even childhood, 8 years. I was teaching in the Sunday school. That's where I met Professor Okwe, Baptist Church. That's why everybody knows Professor Okwe was my Sunday school teacher. So when he's not available, I take over from him many years ago. All these great guys did not bring me up to disrespect elders. It's just that sometimes you make your argument forcefully. You must you must be in charge of the debate.
And that didn't go down well.
And when you are very young, it's easy for people to then say that, oh, they are being disrespectful. So first of all, President Rawlings never mentioned names.
We could infer.
It has become an inference by the media, and maybe they got it wrong. You never know. But to now answer your question directly, there was never any scheme. That is why when Professor Anamoah wrote in his book that they called young people and said, and they know, having worked with Rawlings, they know that President Rawlings doesn't like to be talked back at by young people younger, because of his military training, his they have learned to really defer to elders, higher ranks and all of that. So he can't take it when younger people come after him, so they asked us to go after. There's no such thing. That is why I issued a statement. Even though I have enormous respect for Professor Anamoah, I had to publicly disagree with him with that portion of his book. And indeed, all of us, Dr. Anamoah also issued a statement that no, I mean, tell us venue, date, when did that happen? And in all sincerity, that never happened. Nobody ever called me that go after the former president, use unprintable language, or as it were, insult him. No, because it was not even my style. I like a debate of facts, of issues. Let's look at the numbers, let's look at the research, let's be scientific about it. I may be forceful in how I go about it, but never to use unprintable words, never to use derogatory language, never to be discourteous, never to be disrespectful. So it's really unfortunate that some way, somehow, and politics, they say, is all about perception, is all about the rumor mongering, what people say. So that tried to stick, but I believe that over the period, those who have studied me closely, who have monitored me very attentively, have realized that that's not my style. I do not go about insulting adults or elders, people who are, and even whether you are even younger or you are my peer, I don't believe in the politics of insults, and I decry it. I always condemn it. Look, there are so many issues confronting us. There's a plethora of facts. There's always, data that you can use to make your point. You don't have to, as it were, descend into the gutter and use. Approach that really.
So how do you feel when you hear
mad.
Some of your colleagues do that?
No, I feel embarrassed for them, honestly. I feel embarrassed. I don't think that there should be any space in our politics for that kind of politicking. Okay.
Now, I've seen videos, and I'm sure you've seen videos like that too, of young people in senior high school or primary school being asked, what do you want to become when you grow up? And they say, I want to be a politician. And people believe that these kids say, I want to be a politician because it appears to be a short route to riches. The loudest in the room catches the president's attention. So the more you insult, hopefully you get the attention of whoever is appointing at the time. Does politics make you rich? Because you've been in there for a while.
It's a very, very interesting question you have asked. And this is coming only a few days after an interesting send-off we had with a diplomat I would not mention now, who was leaving the country, and he or she told us that one of the things
you're so sleek. It's a he or she, because I was about to guess, but the he or she confused me.
I know how smart you are.
Very slick.
So he or she told us at a small gathering, that one of the things he or she will remember about us is how politics and pastoral work has become so common. Billboards, posters all over the place,
Right.
and a lot of noise making, and it's either a pastor or a politician. You know, that's what he or she will remember about us. That's what is booming in our country, and it's really sad. This stage we are in our development, we should be seeing more industries. We should be seeing a revolution in commerce, in trade.
Right.
You know. And there should be massive job creation, you know, entrepreneurship and all of that. It shouldn't be about pastors who say they have been called, and so many people are being called at the same time. You wonder who is doing the calling, really, you know. And then politicians too is become, you know, so fashionable, you know. And these days, some of the posters you see is, you know, even people who are still in school first degree are running for parliament, and you know, everybody wants to be in the communication team, even when they are not really cut out for it. They are not communicators, they are not really prepared. You see, people look at me and say, oh, he became a deputy minister at 28, but they don't really go into my story. I have been an activist as far back as even my secondary school days. You know, I was trustee of the Greater Accra Regional Student Representative Council right from the age of 17 all the way to the University of Ghana. I was always preparing myself for leadership. So if you are not press secretary, you are a General Assembly member, you are editor-in-chief, you are a central committee member, and then you become president of the National Union of Ghana Students. And even after that, I joined the CJA. Sometimes people, we were in the field, and sometimes you hear people say, "Oh, you know, he's not even worked before." When I started working, many people didn't know what work was. As a young, even before going to the university, I was working at Nkoko Coleman International School.
What were you doing?
As a computer teacher, because at our time we had to wait for 2 years, because you know there was a strike, and so I finished pre-sec in 1999. You can only enter in 2001. So I decided to just join my uncle, who had opened a computer school at Kwewu International School. So before all of these Kwewu craze started, I know Kwewu so well, from Nkoko to Obomin to Abetifi to Obo, name them, all the way to Akwetia, Inkwetia, and all those places. You know, I taught there for about a year and a half. You know, and then even on campus, you know, while studying, I was campus manager for Carrera Computers. You know, that was the era of internet cafes. You know, and we opened the first internet cafe at the University of Ghana, Ekwafu Hall. You know, and it also came with an ice cream joint and all of that. It was a very busy place, you know, and so it made me quite popular amongst the girls too. A lot of Volta Hall ladies.
That's where you met your wife.
You know, we'll come to that. You know, so yes, so this is somebody who's been working from secondary school, right from, you know, even throughout my period at the University of Ghana. After, because I was doing CJA stuff and all that, I set up my own company on the side, you know, Service Solutions we were doing. At the time, I even did some work with Bolare and all of that, the communications, you know, outfit. But yeah, so people don't look at all of that background, that preparation, all of that. Though I will say that, yes, at 28, it still came quite early, but you see, that is also work. People, you see, we must change our mindset about.
It's just white collar.
Yes, we must change our mindset about work and even political work. These appointments are not for you to just come and lord it over and cream off and all of that. Now, to answer the question directly, does politics make you rich? I will say no. It does not, because as I speak to you. If I told you what I had in my personal account, you will be surprised. You will dispute it, and you will think that I'm making it up.
That's true.
So, and you can talk to our bankers. I'm sure you have friends. They'll tell you that, oh, these politicians, they are really living hand to mouth. Especially if you you want to be relevant, you want to be, useful to your people. When there are emergencies, last week, for example, there's this hole in heart situation, about 30,000 cities you have to support. If you can't find all the money, at least you must contribute and then do some lala sulala, call friends, call other people. So it's really the business people, those who want to really make money. I won't advise them to go into politics unless you want to be just a greedy politician who just keeps everything to yourself. But even that, you won't last, and the people will soon hate you. If you are MP, you'll be lucky to even survive one term. Right. So there's that perception out there that politics makes you rich. It is not an accurate perception. However, let me add that it doesn't mean that politics also, let us be sincere, let's be honest, it doesn't make you so broke and all of that. I believe in being sincere, being honest, being brutally frank. You are paid, you earn salaries, and let's be honest, in the category of public sector workers that we find ourselves, we are the only ones, these Article 71 office holders, who get the conditions of service we get, ex gratia and all of that. So I will be honest to admit that it comes with some decent earnings. Yes, those who may be lucky to find themselves in some international companies, international, conglomerates, may be earning better, particularly those who earn in foreign currency and all of that. But how many are they? If you look at the category of public sector workers, there's a wide disparity, and it's scientific. The emolument committee reports have confirmed that there's even a widening gap between Article 71 office holders and other public sector workers, the teachers, the nurses, the doctors, the planners, the local government staff. So we must also be conscious about that, and to say that yes, it doesn't make you rich, but you are still better off when you compare yourself to other public sector workers. And I think that we must honestly be working towards bridging that gap, because it makes us endangered species. A lot of the hatred that politicians are being subjected to, and even the name calling and all of that, is because of these wide disparities. I would want us to really bridge the gap. That's what I thought the single spine was supposed to achieve. So we are all on a single spine, but we ended up with multiple spines, and
just had to,
and we don't really have that equity, that fairness. So yes, politics doesn't make you rich, but you must also be conscious that it makes you better off than a lot of workers in Ghana. So you must therefore give more to society. You must be more charitable. You must be more generous, and you must give it your all. But I will advise young people that don't just want to be a politician, because if you want to have staying power, if you want to last, and if you want to be useful, it's about what you bring on board.
Right.
At the end of the day, when the chips are down, the appointing authority, even your party people, will say, look, this person really, what value does he or she bring? What is he or she, what is their worth? And how are they able to even bring on board others, serve as a magnetizing force that will bring others, that will attract others on board. So it is always better to take your time, bid your time. It's always better to also build capacity. Look, there have been so many of my colleagues, sometimes classmates, year group colleagues, who were given opportunities, but it didn't appear that they had really prepared themselves, and they goofed, they messed up. And you see, people forget that politics is like war, and you can be easily killed, and you may never recover. Absolutely. So people look at it, they think it's all glitz and glamour, and it is all just, they are just looking at the end when the media has come to cover your event or covered your speech, or what you have gone to commission. but the work, the mechanics, what goes into it, the toil and sweat and sacrifice, sometimes the treachery, the betrayal, and all those things is so much that not everybody can bear. And I think that people will have to reflect deeply, and that perception must change.
I'll be happy to read your book at some point. Let me move away from you a bit and focus on some issues. The first one is e-levy. You are in court to stop government from collecting e-levy from the 1st of May.
Yes.
Okay. What? I mean, you're expecting the court to give you the relief you're looking for?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You need to bear in mind that the present action stems from our original action on the 30th of March, where my colleagues and I, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, our minority leader, the Honorable Mahama Ayariga, and my good self, went to court seeking a declaration that what happened the previous day, the 29th of March, where 136 MPP MPs purported to have passed the obnoxious e-levy, is unconstitutional. It cannot be made to hold, because when on the 26th of November, 137 of us claimed to have rejected the 2022 budget, the Supreme Court held in the Justice Abdullahi case that the constitutional threshold for decision making under Article 1041 is half, which is 138. We didn't have the 138 number, so 137 cannot take a decision. You fall short of the decision making quorum, so the budget was not rejected. How is it that if 137, a superior number to 136, cannot take a decision, how can 136 say that they have passed the e-levy? So we are clear in our minds that that tactical maneuver, and this gives me an opportunity to address a lot of the bashing we have received. People have said, we deliberately abandoned ship, we have been bribed. I mean, it's with all due respect, a lack of appreciation and understanding of the constitution, the parliamentary standing orders, and what was prevailing at the time. Look, why do you think that for 5 months we have really held the fort and we had succeeded in standing by Ghanaians and keeping the e-levy out? Suddenly on that day, the 29th of March, the NPP was emboldened to lay it, and they ambushed us. They took us by surprise. Why? Because they knew that even though they didn't have Adjo Asafo, they knew that they had now encumbered Asenov. They had created challenges for Asenov. The Asenov MP could not be present. The stay of execution that we filed had been struck out. They then had him in court that morning for the criminal charges that they have leveled against him. So they knew that they had attacked our numbers. We didn't have 137, we have 136. Fortunately for them, Kojokum regained some consciousness. They brought him in an ambulance, took him to the parliamentary clinic, and they were ready to wheel him in. We did our intelligence gathering. We realized that yes, Kojokum is around. They will bring him in, they will get 137. We don't have Asenov. It will be 136. So the Ghanaians want us, those who are criticizing us, and it's really interesting that some people are so angry with us as if e-levy is our baby. They are not angry with President Akufo-Addo. The MPP that is seeking to impose this draconian, punitive, regressive tax measure on us, they are not angry with them. They are angry with NDC as if we brought e-levy.
Because we're expecting you to save them. Yes,
and we are still on course to save them. So we said, look, do we just quietly go to the slaughter and be slaughtered for e-levy to go through and for the resistance to die that day? That will have marked the permanent death of the resistance against e-levy. If we had just stayed 136 of us, they are 137. So we said, hey, tactically, if we stage a walkout, we will deny them of a quorum. Our own story, where we were 137 and we said we are rejecting the budget, Supreme Court held that, hey, you are not 138. We know for certain they don't have Adjo Asafo. Fortunately for us, At the time we're even working out, Kojokum had not been brought into the chamber. The constitutional provision says present and voting. So it was a very strategic decision. And I still say that, look, under the circumstances, it was the best decision. Because we knew that when we walk out, we would then go to court, the Supreme Court, for the Supreme Court to be consistent and to uphold its decision in the Justice Abdullahi case and ensure that ultimately the Constitution is respected. So that is why we staged that walkout. Now, staging the walkout keeps the resistance alive. If we had stayed that day and we were outvoted, that would have been the end. There would be nothing we can do. We will have given them a quorum. We will have given them the opportunity to say that we have voted. It's 137, 136. Right. And that will have been it. By staging that walkout, we denied them a quorum. They were so much in a hurry to just rush through the process that they even forgot to bring in Kojokum. I have heard some of them say, oh no, you see now it has to be half of 274, not half of 275. No problem. Half of 274 is 137.
It's still not.
You still didn't meet it. Kojokum, they forgot to bring him. He was resting in the parliamentary clinic. They didn't bring him to the chamber. And the constitutional provision is clear. Present and voting. He was not present and voting. He was far away, in the parliamentary clinic. So now we have kept the resistance alive, albeit at a different forum. We are the apex court. We are praying.
It's not an image-saving strategy.
Not at all. We are praying the Supreme Court to declare what has happened a nullity, to declare it void, unconstitutional, and to set it aside. Now, we realize that the Chief Justice and the Registrar of the Supreme Court, who should call the case, have not yet empaneled. They haven't called the case. We don't have a date for the substantive matter. Right. However, we have seen the Minister of Finance announce that 1st May is implementation date. GRA is doing a lot of publicity. They've put out notices that from 1st May they are going to start collections. Because we are determined in the fight. Look, Nana, I did a town hall meeting at my place. I'm probably one of the few MPs that did a town hall, non-partisan town hall, chaired by the chiefs at Mefe Senkizito Hotel, Masito Hotel. We then asked everybody to vote, secret ballot, conducted by independent commissioners. Guess what? Non-partisan, invited everybody. There were gong announcements, everybody should come. It was 331 against e-levy, only 4. And we invited all the political parties. Only 4 people said that e-levy should go on. So my mandate is so clear. And I never want to be on a coalition course with my people, betray my people. Never. I would never betray my people. I will never come and be compromised in Accra. I mean, who in the MPP can dare call me that I come for something? No curfew to betray my constituents. I would never do that. So we are saying that it is clear to us that the Constitution has been violated. The MPP caucus is in clear breach and they know it. So Supreme Court set it aside. But because 1st May is approaching, our substantive case has not been called. Yesterday, we decided to go to court and file an application for an injunction so that once that injunction is successfully filed and the parties are served, it serves as a stay, and there's a plethora of authorities. It serves as a stay. The GRA or governments and its assigns and privies and agents and proxies cannot go ahead and implement e-levy. The hearing has been fixed for the 4th of May. So government knows, the GRA knows that they cannot attempt, and we are watching the space very keenly. If we see any attempt to go ahead with the 1st May implementation, have you noticed that since we filed, they haven't said a word? No statement has been issued. We are watching closely. If we see any signs that they want to go ahead on the 1st, we will ask the Supreme Court to hold them in contempt. So for now, no Ghanaian should expect to be paying the e-levy, this unconstitutional, regressive, obnoxious, totally punitive e-levy.
Obnoxious.
Very obnoxious. very regressive, very punitive, and it is such a killer tax measure.
So how do you expect government to raise revenue? Because they've said that COVID-19, for instance, COVID-19 has depleted our resources so badly. Then there is the crisis in Ukraine, which has taken a further toll. So how exactly do you expect government to manage this country without the revenue?
Don't we have an interesting government, Anaba? We don't have money, we don't have money, we don't have money. Yet we can charter presidential jets.
I was coming to that. Why have you made it a hobby to monitor how government travels?
I have been monitoring closely. and it has cost us at least 28.5 million Ghana cedis.
He's the president
over
of the
last
country.
year.
He needs to be comfortable. He needs to be safe. We need to secure the president.
I'll come to that. The presidential jet we President Kufuor ordered is comfortable, is safe. Other African presidents are queuing.
George Weah,
President Madabi of Sierra Leone, they are all queuing to use our presidential jet. I heard Gideon Buaku say the last time that our presidential jet is not even comfortable enough. It's not roomy, that the president can't stretch. then President Weah. See the President Weah's height.
A footballer of some sort.
Yes. Jan, number 9 striker. I remember those days growing up.
A lethal footballer.
Very lethal striker. I mean, he was bulky, but he used the weight. I mean, not like how my Lukaku is behaving these days in Chelsea, and breaking our hearts, But President Weah is comfortable in the jet. But you see, I'll come back to the jet matter. I'm saying that we have an interesting government. They say that we are desperately looking for cash. We don't have money. And yet, we have a presidential jet. We can afford to go and charter the world's most luxurious, expensive aircraft. We say we don't have money. Have you read the Auditor General's report? 2019, Cocoa Board. They have introduced allowances that have never been seen at Cocoa Board. The last time I exposed it, inconvenience allowance. You are board of directors, you take your allowances. Now you are introducing inconvenience allowances.
Yeah, because sometimes you're inconvenienced on the days you are called to come and sit. So
really?
To attend to family.
Really? To serve your country is an inconvenience. So who's put a gun to your head? Why you just resign? If serving your country as such, Cocoa Board, the cash cow, and you are even making losses, all the inconvenience you say we are causing you are so great ideas. You can't even run Cocoa Board and make profit. You are making losses in excess of 360 million a year, and you are receiving inconvenience allowance. You are receiving overnight allowance. I'm still asking them, overnight allowance, why did the board meeting travel throughout the night? And why are we the ones who force them to call the board meeting overnight? So the wastage, 12.8 billion according to the Auditor General, is the amount of money. So you see, I don't buy that. If you look at, and we've done the analysis, the amount of money that has come to this government since President Kufuor was sworn in on the 7th of January 2017 is in excess of 500 billion Ghana cedis. I'm talking about taxes, I'm talking about loans and grants, all our earnings from our natural resources. Over 500 billion Ghana cedis. Free SHS is less than 8 billion. I'm being generous. It's 7.3, but let me just say 8 billion. Where is the rest of the money? Under President Mahama, we could see Terminal 3. We could see the Kaswa interchange, the Circle interchange. We can see the University of Ghana Medical Center, the only quaternary hospital this country has ever had.
It's beautiful, by the way.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Awesome.
Seen it.
Yeah. It's. That's how a hospital should be. Look at the Ridge Hospital. So, and President Mahama didn't even get half of this. So I don't buy that story.
Because you are not seeing infrastructure, you believe that this government is not working.
I don't.
They're not investing.
I've been looking everywhere, apart from infrastructure. Look, everything is in arrears. They haven't paid District Assembly Common Fund. They haven't paid contractors. They haven't paid health insurance. School feeding creatures are not being paid.
Year of roads.
Year of roads.
Need I remind you?
Year of roads. You see, they are good at slogans. As for that, if there's anything that I'll credit
So
them.
you think they're sloganeering?
Sloganeering. Oh, they are sweet talkers. Sweet talkers. Look, my daughter is now 10. When she becomes mature, I'll tell her that, hey, be careful of the MPP men. you know, they can run their mouth. Very sweet talkers.
So you're not impressed at all?
At all. So
nothing at all about this administration has impressed you. One village, one dam, one district, one factory. One constituency, $1 million.
I'm still looking for that in my constituency.
But they explained that they never said they were going to give you the cash. It was going to translate into development. I don't remember when it was said before the 2020 elections, but apparently,
I mean, look, and we heard them, Dr. Baumia, President Akufo-Addo. Look, all your toilet problems will be solved. We will give you the money so that you don't always have to be coming to Accra. I heard Dr. Baumia myself. The audio is there, so that you use it for your small solutions.
So, is there anything that they've done that has really wowed you?
It's difficult, Nana. It's difficult. It's difficult.
Absolutely nothing.
Maybe the whole year of return.
Right.
Year of return. I think that one they got it right. And it created some buzz. I was proud as a Ghanaian.
Okay.
Honestly.
You didn't like the way they handled COVID?
Honestly,
wasn't it exceptional?
Honestly, beyond COVID, my goodness. Have you heard that they are blocking us in Parliament from accounting? Look, we now have multiple figures depending on who is speaking, depending on when the person is speaking. Multiple figures. In the budget, it's in excess of 22 billion when we do the analysis from the budget. At the State of the Nation address, President Akufo-Addo says 17.7 billion. Then Baumia's infamous lecture recently, he says 8.1 billion. So multiple figures flying all over the place. Remember how much they spent on feeding in a few days? I mean, over $100 million just for face masks and hand sanitizers. Look, they don't want to account. And you see, when I hear them say that, oh, as for e-levy, we will account every month, pay it, and we will account. I hear them on the town halls. And I say that, should that not be the norm?
Yeah.
All taxes are taxes.
Right.
Government must be accountable. The principle must cut across at all times. Why is it that we are going to have a separate regime, a different standard for e-levy? As for e-levy, oh, don't worry, we will account. I mean, it's so insulting to us. So did
you listen?
I am in
the president
Parliament
on the BBC.
Oh my
what
goodness!
What did you make of his response to Peter Koche about?
Honestly, I felt embarrassed.
You cringed?
I cringed, and
But what were you expecting the president to say?
I honestly felt sympathy for the president.
Why?
They shouldn't have put him up for the interview at this time. They shouldn't have. And you see, if you're a handler, if your leader has gotten the time to prepare for an interview. He clearly wasn't prepared. He was not on top of his brief. I mean, tell the entire international community that the e-levy is to tax industries. Now Ghanaians are saying we've become industries. The last time I went to my constituency, people are calling themselves industry, Mawena industry, Afi, and all of that.
Sarcasm looks very good on
So yeah. Look, the president was abysmal with that interview. He didn't project Ghana very well. The sad part is that he had gone there on a tourism drive, and you see, he had gone there also very expensive. $18,000 an hour.
You were monitoring.
I was monitoring. We didn't get value for money. At
what point did you feel you had to pay attention to his trips and how he travels?
Yeah, so I got a tip-off that it will appear that the president has abandoned the presidential jet, Ghana's presidential jet, which is our fourth presidential jet, by the way. President Nkrumah gave us our first presidential jet, the DH-125. President Achampong gave us our second presidential jet, Fokker 28, which became known as the Flying Coffin later. President Rawlings gave us our third presidential jet, the Gulfstream GIII. President Kufuor gave us our fourth presidential jet, the Falcon 900 EXE. Now, EX stands for extended range, and listeners, viewers can Google. So it's a long-haul aircraft. It flies 9 hours non-stop, and you refuel. Indeed, all the luxury aircraft the president is chartering also require refueling after 9 hours. So when I got this tip-off that, look, the presidential jet is been abandoned for this long-haul aircraft, and we have not been briefed in Parliament. We haven't been told that this is what is happening. I decided then to start tracking. So you know that the law requires that anytime the president is traveling, he must inform Parliament. So when the president informs us, then I begin to track. When I track the presidential jet, I realize that no, the presidential jet is parked in Ghana. It's not moving. But the president has left. So I decided that, okay, let me get the details. And with good contacts, which I must not disclose here, I must protect my sources.
Absolutely.
I discovered that apparently the first time I did the expose, the president had contacted a company known as Acropolis Aviation and had chartered the ACJ 320 Neo, which is the world's most luxurious. Look, that aircraft should take about 200 people. They have reduced the passenger capacity to just 16, so that they can fit it with luxury. Master bedroom, cinema room, showers. They call it a penthouse in the sky. And the defense minister didn't help the president at all when he came to Parliament to respond to my question and said that, you know, the presidential jet, the president cannot shower in it, the president cannot freshen up. So it's become known as the sky bath scandal.
What's wrong with this DJ?
You know, no, it's so funny. You see, I mean, I've been asking myself, I mean, do I bath every 7 hours? I mean, you are going to Europe 7 hours.
But everyone has a different lifestyle. Why not?
When the president is here on land, does he bath every?
Well, we wouldn't know. Maybe it's the lifestyle.
Really?
It's his lifestyle, maybe.
And then cinema room as well. Every 7 hours when he's here, he watches movies.
Well,
and what kind of movies will he be watching? And what time also does he look? Just 7 hours. You alone, 7 hours. You are going to London. You alone, you want to shower. You need an aircraft that allows you to shower. You alone, you want to watch a movie within that 7 hours.
I need to
you alone, you want to use a master bedroom. Your master bed within that 7 hours. You alone.
Rest.
Really? And when will he have time to read his briefs? Any wonder we are seeing such performances at BBC interviews? You see, look, let's be honest with ourselves. As leaders, we should learn to always think about the conditions our people live in. Look at the state of hospitals. Pregnant women are still delivering on the bare floor. That's the state of our country. I was talking about incubators. When I donated incubators to Batok Kadli Hospital, Akuse Hospital reached out to me. We also don't have incubators. This is a hospital that is more than 60 years old.
But you've gone very far with incubators. We don't even have defibrillators.
I had to donate to Akuse Hospital. Yeah. So these are the conditions under which our people are living in. The last time I saw a very pathetic video of the lift at Kolebu not working for months, and a 90-year-old woman was being carried, down the stairs. These are the conditions. That $18,000 an hour, imagine what it can do to solve these problems. And it's not as though we don't have a presidential jet. We do. See what the new Mexican president has done. The new Mexican president, President Lopez Obrador, he says that, look, his predecessor was wasteful. Went to buy the world's, according to Mashables, that is the world's most expensive, most luxurious presidential carrier. $280 million. Poor Mexico, more than half of the population lives below the poverty line. The opposition leader at the time said this is wrong, it's unconscionable, and that's why they voted massively against him. The opposition leader says, I won't use it because it's such a symbol of, profligacy, opulence, ostentation, extravagance.
Oh my God.
I mean, why do you do that? So the Mexican president has put it up for sale. He's even reduced the price cheap to clear $130 million. When I saw the announcement, I had to quickly caution President Akufo-Addo that, hey, don't go for it, because it has all the features you like. It has a master bedroom. It has showers. They say marble lined showers, gold plated. It has cinema room. It has champagne banquet dining facilities.
Do you get threats? Do you receive threats on your life?
Oh, I mean, always. I'm used to them. Even text messages. I mean, I think that there are some of these foot soldiers who don't understand what's going on. I'm not doing it because I hate the president. No. Some of them say, oh, you hate the president, we'll deal with you. No, it's not personal hatred. No. If I see the president, I'll defer to him, I'll give him all the respect, the courtesies. The last time we met at the United Nations, I went to him, I greeted him, you are my president. When he spoke after his address, I got up, I clapped for him, I cheered him on. You are my president. It's not hatred. It's principles. We must stand by these principles. And you see, if as politicians, we don't have principles, we don't have standards, we think anything goes once you get power. The reason why probably my constituents don't, joke with me is that I maintain the same attitude during the campaign is the same attitude when I've won, when I'm in power. Same attitude. I even under-promise and over-deliver. Right. A lot of the things I'm doing, I didn't tell them I'll do it. But is that not what the NPP did? No.
They under-promised and they're over-delivering.
Jesus Christ, are you in Ghana?
Yeah.
Where is the 1 district, 1 factory? Where is the $1 million? Even what we are discussing, President said he will protect the public purse. You think the president told us that what my predecessor, President Kufuor, has ordered is not luxurious enough? It's not roomy enough. I can't stretch my long legs. I won't use it. I would charter $18,000 an hour. Do you think that Ghanaians will have voted for him? Do you honestly think Ghanaians will have voted for him?
Well, we probably would have seen him to be a very sincere man.
Yeah, but we would have said, keep your sincerity. don't come and waste our resources. And you see, I've been asking, as opposition leader, I met President Akufo-Addo on several commercial flights, BA, KLM.
But he's not president.
So, the question I'm going to ask is that why didn't he have his private jet, like the likes of Ibrahim Mahama, Magdan, and Dangote and others?
He didn't have, because he's not. Is in the same class with the Dangotes of this?
Oh, but when you become president, then the taxes should put you in that class.
Well, he has to be protected.
Ghanaian taxes. Look, stop talking about protection. Cyril Ramaphosa can afford many.
Yeah, he's a rich man.
Many private jets, very billionaire.
Yeah.
But he's flying commercial. There are many leaders, many leaders who have decided.
Let me remind you, levels don't change.
You see, when levels change and you become president, use that level to rather empower the people, lift more people out of poverty.
Right.
Don't use it for yourself.
Okay.
Let us learn to be selfless and let us do what is in the interest of the people. That's what service is about.
You're worried about 1 hour 30 minutes. You've spoken for 1 hour 35 minutes.
Wow. It comes so quickly.
2 last questions before you go. Commonwealth, passport, and what's the other one? Katanga.
Yeah.
If you had to choose one, no. Katanga and Casford. Let's go Commonwealth. You definitely go for Commonwealth again. Katanga, Casford. Which one would you go for?
None of them.
Oh.
None of them. No.
They are not as strong as.
They are wannabes. No, they are wannabes.
Vandals.
Yeah, wannabe vandals. No.
So what is it that make vandals so? You're not full of yourselves.
We're born. There's that camaraderie. There's that fellow feeling. There's that. It's brotherhood.
And you are noisy.
We are brothers. we are.
What do they feed you with in that bowl? What kind of air do you breathe? What water do you drink?
Father Bacchus takes good care of us.
Yeah.
Hermes.
Yeah.
Look,
it's the special drink.
It's the spirit. It's brother. And we are not pretentious. What you see is what you get. We are very transparent. We are, happy go lucky go. We are real, and we believe in communality. I mean, and if you look at the history, I encourage listeners to read Professor Bodeka's book. Look, even when students are victimized in other halls, vandals will go rally behind. The first rustication, vandals. They were not vandals, but vandals rallied. These were the cartoonists of the Siren magazine, who the university authorities said that it was some obscene, imagery, so they should be eradicated. Vandal said no, there will be no peace, there will be no teaching and learning until you reinstate the students. And the students have to be reinstated, even when students are dismissed at KNUST, UCC. Is that kind of solidarity which the student front lacks today? And I'm so saddened that now we have MPP nukes, NDC nukes. So sad. Look, as for student activism, you come together, you bond. National
so
politics.
How do you think they got there?
They've allowed infiltration. Look, instead of people going to run for TESCON and TAIN, they want to be NUC's president, SRC president. No, it's not for you. The NUC's constitution, we are apolitical. There are many people who, when I was a student activist, even thought I was MPP because, Uncle Sam Okudzeto was a prominent MPP member. Yeah. Agnes Okudzeto was a vice chairperson of the party. So they just assumed that I will probably do MPP politics. But I went all out and advance the cause of students. Don't betray. Look, I tell student leaders, when you betray your own constituents, when you even attempt to join national politics, people won't respect you, don't value you. They see you as a traitor. What shows that you will not sell our secrets to the other party? So, rather be fearless, rather align yourself with the issues of your constituents. Don't betray them. Defend their rights. You may even take the fall for it, like it happened to me. You'll be victimized. They will withhold your degrees for 2 years, even prevent you from further studies and all. But it is worth it. Your mates will always be proud of you, that you stood up for them, you didn't betray them, and you carried out your mandate. If you want to be a politician, young student politician, go and run for TESCON or TAIN. It's so sad. So, as for Commonwealth, that's what it teaches us. It teaches us courage, how to be bold, how to be fearless.
And the very last question: of all the problems in this country, why is the minority bothered about Sewa Bruni?
Good question. So, we don't care about the moral aspect. If it was all just the moral issues, who has slept with who, and who can perform and all of that, we will not have said a word. No, we are not interested. The abuse of office, the national security being used to stage robberies, that is what we are concerned about. And the police CID coming in to cover up, because we have already had a challenge with national security from Ayawaso West Wagon. Then the 2020 elections, I am still ashraj on the killings of those 7 Ghanaians during the election. Many people have forgotten, but the 2020 elections was bloody. 7 people lost their lives. One as young as 8, some teenagers, stray bullets by persons claiming to be national security operatives. We have another election coming up. And you see, all of us who criticize the president, who put out exposés, we are not safe. As we speak, Ahmed Hussein Swale, his killers have not been found. There is no prosecution going on. Nobody has been apprehended. So we cannot live in a country where such major revelations are made and we don't show interest. So let us be clear. We are not going into the morality. As for who is whose side chick, who is sleeping with who, those are personal family issues. I'm sure Mama Rebecca will handle it with their family elders. So that's none of our business. It is the allegations that national security. Remember that the president is the commander-in-chief. He's the chair of the National Security Council per the Constitution of Ghana. And so if national security is staging robberies, how safe are we? All of us, journalists, civil society organizations, MPs, whistleblowers, all of us who want to, expose wrongdoing in our society, we are not safe. They will just come and stage robberies, and who knows? You may be the next Ahmed Hussein Swale. So a responsible opposition. When Watergate was happening, national security was, and those who are conversant with the Watergate scandal, which led to President Nixon's impeachment and eventual, resignation. You realize that their national security aligned with the president. They were snooping in on the opposition, listening to their calls and all of that, violating their privacy. The Americans took it very, very serious. So we are not even doing a Lewinsky here, but we are looking at the national security aspect. And we say we are studying the tapes. We want to see if there's any merit or if it's just, empty gossip or empty talk. We want to really know. And I'm sure that the minority will approach her if she's willing to see what kind of evidence she has. She claims she has audios, all kinds of recordings about the national security aspect, the abuse of office aspect, the violation of human rights, fundamental human rights. These are principles we must hold dear. These are constitutional. Look, Article 69 is very clear. You do not engage in these things to bring the high office of president to disrepute. So those are the matters that we are focused on. So let us not be, as it were, confused with those who are engaged in the salacious gossip and all of those, things about sizes and all. No, that's not. We are not there.
Right.
Well, we don't want to know. We are not interested.
Right. The Honourable Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Sam Okudzeto Ablakwa. Which one comes first, Ablakwa or which one comes first?
It's Okudzeto Ablakwa, and it's interesting. I'm the only Okudzeto Ablakwa in the world until my children arrive. Because Okudzeto is really my biological dad's name. Ablakwa is my stepdad's name. So I combined it.
You combined?
Yeah. So I have two dads. Yeah.
They must be happy.
yes. Unfortunately, I lost my biological dad, but thank goodness I still have my
your other dad.
Yes, my other dad, and very lucky, very lucky.
And
let me. My wife is listening. My dear,
you didn't even get to talk to
my dear.
She's a lawyer, right?
Yes. A partner at Surrey at Law. You know that I am so enamored by her. I cherish her so much.
Yeah.
My coach, my inspiration, my everything. She. A lot of the social interventions I do, some of the ideas are from her. And, she's really.
Bless her.
Really passionate about the work I do. She's very supportive, and I want to celebrate her before I leave the studios. Noella, I'm always proud of you, and I love you so much. And keep being you.
Right. Noella, we have a song for you.
Awesome.
The Traveler.
Oh, awesome. We both love it. We both love it.
We both love it. Let's go. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Anamoah.
Have a good night, everybody.